Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 5? Episode 5 of Elden Ring Lore Explained. In the last few episodes, we've been explaining a bunch of stuff about the timeline, and we've mentioned many of the important people involved in the timeline, but now it's finally time to talk about them more at large, regardless of the timeline. Pretty much all of the people that we're going to be talking about today will be getting their own videos in the future because some of them are really important. But this video will mostly be for going over who everyone is for the most part and how they're related to each other. Now, naturally, as a work that George R.R. Martin was involved in the creation of, there's a big family tree. I made a big old fucking family tree thing. I know there was already one that someone posted on Reddit or something, but it had a typo in it, and that bugged the shit out of me. I also think there may have been like one or two mistakes in it. There was at least one person that was not included. I need to look at mine again. I have it right here. I posted it in the Discord. There we go. Beautiful. Oh wait, I also have it open in a tab right here where I can make edits to it. Yeah. So, a few things before we begin. You'll probably notice that my audio quality is about the same, but Neo and Neve's should be slightly better, not as echoey, because I have my headphones now. That's right.
Oh wow.
Also, I think I said last video that we were going to be recording this like right after, and that ended up not being true because Playfree suggested we take a break so that I'm not recording until like 1:30 in the morning, which is exactly what we're going to be doing today. Because we're starting late. I love that. Don't you love starting late? Hell
Wait, we're going to be
yeah.
until 1:30?
Probably not. I imagine this video will probably be like 45 minutes long, hopefully. Because we're not going to be spending an hour talking about everyone. We're not going to be spending a fuck ton of time talking about every person.
We're not going to be doing a techie video of going in depth for each character.
Yeah, exactly. So, the center of this family tree is Marika, because she is the one we pretty much use as a reference point for who's related to who, for the most part, with some exceptions. So, the only person we know of who's related to Marika who is not her offspring or one of her spouses is Malekith, who is her half-brother. We don't know any information about Marika's parents, though we know they exist. Marika is an Empyrean, so she had to be born of a single god, but she also has a half-brother in the form of Malekith. I suppose that would probably make Malekith a demigod. He would be half-god, I suppose. Yeah, this family tree thing does not really take into account asexual reproduction that much, and we don't know which of Marika's parents was a god or not. I mean, I guess I could remove one of them and just say parent of Marika. But why would I do that? So we know Marika is one of the New Men, which is a rare race that came from the stars, so, you know, alien god people. But Malekith is only half Newman, I guess. The other half is pretty clearly Beastmen. So whichever parent Marika comes from, they were doing some weird shit. They were doing some weird stuff.
Case of, like, America's parent.
Hey, we were a bit of experimenting.
Well, actually,
after America's birth.
I'm not giving Beastmen enough credit here. They are clearly an intelligent race of people capable of creating their own civilization. So, you know, it's presumably not like Marika's parent was fucking a literal animal. Just someone few steps back on the evolutionary chain, I guess. I don't know. So, Malakath's the only dude we know about who is related to Marika. The only one we know by name who is related to Marika that's not one of her descendants or someone that she hooked up with at some point. So, getting into the first of Marika's concerts. I'm going to turn down the music a little bit because it sounds really loud on my end.
Look at this family tree right here. It seems Marika is just the guy of Elden Ring who has connections to everyone. And is
Well, she is the most important person in the universe, being the eternal queen of the lands between.
Yeah.
Right, that does explain it, yeah.
Is she the first character they mentioned in the intro? I'm pretty sure she's
No, actually, I think they mentioned Godwin being murdered, and then they're like, Queen Marika has disappeared.
Yes.
So Godwin's actually the first guy to get mentioned, which theoretically... No, actually, that's not how that works. The most important person is not mentioned first. Gwyn was mentioned, second to last out of all the Lord Souls, so...
Oh, yeah, he was.
Yeah. So, Marika's first consort is Godfrey the Golden, the first Elden Lord, whose name may or may not have been Horalu originally, but in the time that he is the first Elden Lord, at the very least, he is known as Godfrey the Golden. He was a human warrior, as far as we can tell. This is a long time in the past, and by fantasy standards, or, Tolkien standards, humans in the past are superhuman freaks of nature. So that would probably explain why he's 10 feet tall and still alive in the present, though that's probably more so to do with him being tarnished. Now, he has an indeterminate amount of children with Marika. We know of 3 of their direct offspring by name. First one, who we already mentioned, is Godwin the Golden. Godwin is the, as far as we can tell, golden child of the Golden Lineage. I mean, he got to carry over the title of the Golden. He was apparently a big badass. He led the war against the ancient dragons when that was started by Grandsax when he attacked Leyndell. He ended up befriending the dragon Fortisax and ended the war. And then he, for some reason, was picked out of everyone by the Black Knife Assassins to be killed on the Night of the Black Knives, and has become their Prince of Death. He's also a weird-faced thing that you can find in the Deeproot Depths. And also you can find something very similar in Godric's basement for some reason that I don't know why. I don't know why. It's just there. Some people say it's an alien thing or something. I don't know. Seems to have something to do with living in death. And not having a soul anymore. The other 2 that we know of are twins, Morga and Moak, and these guys are both omens. I hope I spelled Moak's name right. I feel like I didn't. I'm tweaking out a little. Hold on. Moak.
Well, if you didn't, then
I think you did. Don't you also find it funny that both of the twins in this family tree are both...
Fuck, I didn't. Shit, I have to fix it.
Curse.
It's not GH, it's HG.
Cursed.
Yeah, it is interesting that both pairs of twins within the family are cursed. Funny how that happens. Well, shit, now I have to include a different version of the family tree in the video. Son of a bitch. Hold on, I gotta screenshot this now. Ooh. I didn't fuck up anyone else's name, did I?
Yeah, check,
Oh god. Did I spell Malakath's name right?
Malakath, correct?
Yeah, is this your...
Son of a... This is what happens when I type shit mindlessly. I have an issue with the Reddit guy for, spelling Radon's name incorrectly. and then I make even more typos in my list, in my family tree. Okay, is there any... Okay, I think I've spelt everyone's name right now. Good God. Okay. Alright. I think we're fine now. I think we're good.
Are we?
We're good. We are good-o. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, give me that Windows notification sound. I love it. I actually hate it, but that's besides the point. By the way, I forgot to make this announcement towards the start of the video, but now that we got like the first 4 episodes out of the way, the first one's doing really disturbingly well. We will probably release Elden Ring videos on Tuesdays and Saturdays, because those are the days I usually don't have anything else going on. If Jujutsu Kaisen is on break Fridays, I guess we'll upload on Fridays. And I get to keep Thursday as my day off most of the time. So, right, Morgott and Moak. They're twins. They're both omens, which means they were born devoid of grace and featuring fur and horns, and in Morgott's case, a tail for some reason. The omens display features that are described in an item. We get like a horn, in which it's discussed how in the far past, in the primordial soup that was the Crucible, also known as the Primordial Crucible, pretty much all living things shared features. Everything just kind of had everything going on. And there was a point in time in which creatures being born with these features that they're not supposed to have anymore was looked at as a good thing. But in more modern times, that's seen as bad and gross and weird. Or as a bad omen. Ooh!
Ooh.
That's probably why they're called that. Now, unlike most people who cut the horns off of omen babies, the royal family, for some reason, decides instead of doing that, they just put them underground. In the subterranean shunning tunnels, or whatever they're called. They basically throw the omen babies down into the sewer, where they will never see the light of day. They're locked down there for all of eternity. And this is what happened to Morgott and Moak. And all of the other Omen members of the royal family. There are quite a few of them, actually. Apparently, things were a bit fucked with the Golden Lineage. Golden Lineage, it's really not that good compared to, like, the Red Main Lineage, if we're being really honest here.
True.
Now, at some point, Morgott is allowed out of the tunnels. It may have been for the purpose of helping to defend Leyndell, because no one knew his name. No one knows who Morgott is, but people know of Margit the Fell Omen.
Yeah.
And he even had, like, an inscription about him when Godric was attacking Leyndell, about how he butchered champions and stacked them up in a pile. So, I guess that was probably, like, the first time that he came out and was, like, actually doing stuff. Ooh, ignore the sudden cut in the recording because I wanted to avoid unnecessary background noise. Ooh. Yeah, I assume Morgott got let out around then. It is of note that Godfrey seemed to display some degree of affection for Morgott. We see that when he comes back, and he seems sad about Morgott being dead. Now, it's been a really long time since he's seen him. I don't know to what extent, because that's really the only interaction we see. We're not aware if he made any attempts to get Morgott out of the hole in the ground. And also, Godfrey is kind of a fucking psychopath. So, you know, it's a bit hard to tell.
though though he cares just a little bit more.
He
More
cares
than
about
himself
him
for
and that he's like
Monica.
sad about him being dead, but also he is a bloodthirsty maniac.
So why exactly did
Well, barbarians.
Morgoth
Barbarians be
go by
barbarians.
both Morgoth?
Okay, so people are aware of Morgoth, the veiled monarch of Leyndell, but I don't think they wanted people knowing that there was a fucking omen running the capital. Because no one knew who Morgoth was. They just knew he existed. So Margit was the alias he went under for like going around and doing stuff.
Well, like, if omens are like a birth
Yeah.
defect, or whatever you said, then wouldn't they be able to look at him and say, "Oh, that's an omen.
Yeah,
We should not be
but
running."
now they don't know that he's a member of the royal family.
Yeah, because
So like
you'd assume
non-royal omens
a
are
lineage
just
called
allowed
the
to walk
Golden
around.
Lineage.
Yeah, the Golden Lineage
Wouldn't
having a
have a
bunch of fucking
child.
demonic goat people running around. Speaking of demonic
Yeah,
goat
not so-
people, we have Morgoth's twin brother Moak, who, in my opinion, got the better end of the omen stick because he looks way cooler than Morgoth. He's much
He
more
does.
compact. He is a more compact, square-shaped lad. Definitely got the Godric silhouette going on a little bit. You know, if I had to contain a silhouette within a simple shape, a simple polygon, it would be a square. And he's much shinier. His horns look nicer. Now, deep beneath the earth, Moak seems to come into communion with an outer god known as the Formless Mother. This was presumably in the big church that you can find him in, way underground. Either that was built there to worship the Formless Mother, and that's where he first communed with her, or he communed with her and then he made the church. I don't know. Seems to be the place where he communicated with the Formless Mother nonetheless. And he ended up, unlike Morgoth, coming to love his accursed blood. Morgoth was like, I'm a cursed piece of shit. My curse has stained the thrones. It's such a shame I can't bear. Whereas Moak was like, oh fuck yeah, I'm cursed. That's so edgy and
so
cool.
cool.
I'm going to go start my own
He
fucking
reveled in it a
dynasty.
bit too much.
I'm going to create an Omen dynasty. Mogwin. Which, some people say that he planned on resurrecting Mikela as a god named Mogwin. But also Mogwin seemed to be the name of the dynasty. I guess the dynasty would be named after the god responsible for starting it. But, you know.
Yeah.
Moak's
seems like,
not really a good
at least
person.
my interpretation of it. At least my interpretation of it, it was like Moak was trying to basically just usurp the greater will by using the Nameless Mother and having him be the whatever fucked up version of the Elden Lord this would be.
I don't know if
and using
usurping
Nikola
would be
as,
the
like,
right
the
word. It
vessel
seemed like
for
he
it.
just kind of wanted to do his own thing and didn't give a shit about what was going on with the Greater Will. But he did basically want to copy what was going on with Marika and the Elden Lord.
Yeah. That's my interpretation, at least.
Because he
And I think
wanted
that makes
he
sense.
wanted to have a god, and he wanted to be the god's consort, so he could do basically whatever he wanted. Because he was a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, there
big
are
contenders of the family for-
other members of the Golden Lineage who we are not aware of. Safe to assume Marika and Godfrey had other children. I don't think everyone is related to Godwin. Like I don't think all of the other members of the lineage are descended from Godwin. Otherwise, I think Godric would have brought up Godwin as well. I think the only person of note that Godric descends from is Godfrey directly. So there are many generations between Godfrey and Godric. There is apparently a guy in there somewhere named Godfroy who you can find in the Golden Lineage Everjail in the Altus Plateau. He exists. For some reason, you even find out about him in the description of a summon. I think it was Dragon Knight Kristoff or something. And Kristoff was the one who sealed away Godfroy within the Everjail. So Godfrey was an actual dude who existed that did grafting, I guess. So, Godric copying a lot of people. Anyway, Godric, according to basically everyone who talks about him, he is decrepit, he's kind of a loser, and he is a distant relative to Marika. He is a far descendant of Marika and Godfrey. He is barely a demigod. So
he's essentially the second cousin removed, basically.
Pretty much. He's got a little bit of the demigod blood. I assume that's probably why grafting works as well as it does. I mean, we see it can be done with other people, like with the grafted scions. But Godric is able to just instantly slap shit onto himself and have it function. So, demigod power probably has something to do with having a great rune. And Godric's kind of a loser because he knows that he's a runt of the litter bitch, so he does everything in his power to try and become stronger and mimic the strength of others. He steals the head of a dragon. Well, he doesn't steal it. He kills a dragon and then slaps its head onto himself so he can attain the power of a true-born heir. And he starts wielding a big battle axe to try and be like Godfrey.
Are you saying that wouldn't count as theft? Like, I'm pretty sure, like, if you're killing someone to take something from them, that's theft.
I don't know if he did
is,
it specifically
but then
for
again,
that. It seemed like more of a spur-of-the-moment thing. Though he probably did want to steal some shit from that dragon.
It's not theft if no one owns it.
That's true.
You don't own something if you're dead.
That's certainly an interpretation that will probably not hold up in a court of law. Anyway, Godric, we know, actually had a seat at the Royal Council in Leyndell. Now, Morgott refers to him as Godric the Golden, which I'm pretty sure is what Godric calls himself. So initially, my thought was, Morgott is actually humoring Godric because he tries to be nice to the people that he's related to, for the most part. But then, on the other hand, I considered maybe Godric wasn't doing grafting until, like, after getting kicked out of Leyndell and the Shattering happened. So it's possible that he's just referring to Godric as that because that's what they called him back in the day, because he was a member of the Golden Lineage, and pretty much everyone who's a member of the Golden Lineage is referred to as so-and-so the Golden. I guess he was there because he was... Yeah, it is interesting, once again, that Godwin did not have a seat at that council. I am wondering why that was. Yeah. So,
It's like, the other five makes sense, like, yeah, but Godric?
Yeah, it's like strange things indeed.
Maybe
so...
Godwin having the divorce thing was responsible for it?
What?
Wasn't Godwin the one that had divorce? Maybe that's why there's no throne?
Maybe.
I don't know. So yeah, I assume he was just kind of there because most of the other Golden Lineage members, other than Godwin, were, like, even less remarkable than him. We know, I think he was already the ruler of Limgrave, so that was probably why. It's probably he just had the biggest territory out of any of the Golden Lineage nobles.
Yeah.
Because it is of note that, like, pretty much, not all, but most of the members of the council were all people that had, like, their own territory for stuff. So it would make sense that Godric would be there because he had territory. He was a lord, and as such had claim to being in the council. Yeah. Now, there is one member of the Golden Lineage who is weird to think about as a member of the Golden Lineage because they are not a child of Godfrey and Marika, but they are, at the very least, a descendant of Godfrey, and that would be Nefeli Lu, who I'm pretty sure is the biological daughter of Horalu, who is Godfrey. So she's related to a demigod. She's like still kind of a demigod, more of a demigod No, maybe about equivalent amount demigod to Godric, because she is not the daughter of Godfrey and Marika. So she is the daughter of a demigod and presumably a normal person. So she is, I don't know, like a quarter demigod. Possibly still more of one than Godric is. And she ends up getting adopted by Gideon Ofnir, which then manages to put Gideon within the family tree by adoption. Anyway, moving over to the Red Main lineage, most of the members are actually not the children of Marika. They are the children of Radagon and Renala, and became Marika's stepchildren after Radagon became the new consort to Marika and became the second Elden Lord. So these three kids are Reichardt, Radahn, and Ranni. Ranni is the only one out of these three who is an Empyrean. I am assuming this is because of the Egg of Reincarnation thing that Renala has. Alternatively, it is a theory of some people, and I have gotten this in the comments, that actually Radagon has always been Marika. Like, the entire time. There was no merging. Like, Radagon was just always Marika.
When I was first putting together this family tree, like, trying to figure this out, like, I got some sources saying, like, oh yeah, they've always been the same person. And I guess that could be possible.
That is a possibility, I guess, because there was some... According to some people I've heard, there was apparently a point in the timeline where Marika just disappeared, and that was when Radagon was out doing stuff, but I haven't been able to confirm that.
Interesting.
Yeah, interesting to say the least, and it mostly seems like Radagon is related to the Giants. I've seen some people say that that was because of just a curse that the Giants placed upon Marika, but I'm pretty sure they never did that. Marika placed a curse upon the Giants, and the Giants just really hated Marika and the Erd Tree. Maybe they placed some kind of curse on her, but I don't think it was turning her sometimes into a chiseled, red-haired demigod man. I don't think... That does not sound like a curse to me, especially when you can seemingly change at will sometimes. So Ranni is a witch. She is an Empyrean. She met a witch at some point during her childhood, and that's the person who her doll body is based off of. Considering she goes by the name Rena when she meets us, it is assumed by some people that Rena was the name of that witch. We also know there is a tower for someone named Rena.
Rena's right.
Yeah, along with Ranni and Saluvis, whatever his name is. Then we have Radahn, the big, Chadley badass man. The Red Mane Lion, the Star Scourge. Apparently the strongest of the demigods. I have been more reason to believe this because we must recall literally everything we are aware of him doing was done while he was also holding back the stars.
He what?
Yeah.
Okay, so after we kill Radahn,
they...
a bunch of shooting stars happen, and then one of them lands in Limgrave, and that's how you get into the rest of Nokron. So,
Holy shit.
These shooting stars are presumably meteorites. They're glintstone. But that doesn't negate the fact that he was stopping a bunch of meteorites in fucking space from crashing down to Earth.
Yeah.
While doing things such as fighting millennia and losing his mind.
Going a bit crazy.
Yeah, going a bit crazy.
I don't know if they refer to him in the game as this, but I know in the trailer they refer to Radahn as like the Conqueror of the Stars.
Yeah, that is probably an accurate description of what he did through gravity magic. But in game they call him the Star Scourge.
Oh yeah, I guess
most likely,
that,
at least my interpretation might be before he lost his mind in before the Shattering, he was known as,
The Conqueror of the Stars, General Radahn.
But after losing his goddamn mind after fighting Millennia, he was probably more so Scourge of the Stars.
Right. It is also of note that Radahn loved his red hair, unlike Radagon, and also thought that Godfrey and Sirash, his pet lion, were super fucking awesome, and that's why he modeled his armor after a lion. It's very funny to me that Radahn, hated one of his, or loved, absolutely adored one of his genetic features that his dad fucking despised, and then also apparently idolized his stepmom's ex-husband more than his actual dad. This is very funny to me.
Hurt.
Yeah, it is.
It's hilarious. That's almost more funny than Godric's entire existence.
Yeah, it is almost funny. That. And then there's Reichardt, who is Praetor, meaning he is basically kind of like the regent. He is the guy who is supposed to manage things when everyone's busy. And he also ran the Inquisition.
The Inquisition?
Yeah, they had inquisitors for the purpose of, like, torturing people for religious crimes, or probably just various crimes in general. So he was the big, he was basically the regent. He was the big policeman of the Lands Between. So naturally he ended up turning into a giant snake monster.
Yeah, I was thinking about this because it's like, I was trying to think, like, why would what act would Reichardt commit to be called blasphemous? And I'm pretty sure it's burning the Air Tree outside his manor.
It's probably the burning of that, especially since everyone in the Volcano Manor is like, yeah, we should burn down the Air Tree. Fuck the Air Tree. Also, letting yourself get eaten by a god-devouring serpent so you can merge with it.
They do call it, burning an Air Tree is the cardinal sin, and I would say, yeah, that would be probably considered blasphemous.
Well, it seems like just going against the Air Tree in general is considered blasphemy, but straight up lighting it on fire is the first cardinal sin. It seems like he may have done both of those things.
Perhaps.
Maybe.
Reichardt's kind of an insane idiot.
Well, I mean, the whole getting eaten by a snake thing sort of worked, and he is actually immortal. When you do the Volcano Manor quest line, and you finish it, after beating Reichardt, you can go back to the boss room, and his head is in there, and it's still fucking wriggling around and shit. He's alive.
He just needs a bit of milk.
He needs time to regenerate, but he's not wrong when he says a serpent never dies.
I cannot believe the fucking plan of step 1, build a manor in Volcano. Step 2, become Snake.
I feel like there were various steps in between those two. I feel like there were some steps in between those two.
I know, just basic plan, and it kind of worked, and that's stupid, and I love it.
Well, that's what happens when you're a demigod. That's what happens. So, these three that we just mentioned are the children of Radagon and Rennala, who is the Full Moon Queen and the leader of the Carian royal family, and also the governor of the Academy of Raya Lucaria. So she is the big glintstone magic prodigy, also moonlight magic. She was a very important person, the head of the magical royal family, the royal family of the moon, which, worships a different force than the Erd Tree, which was a big reason why Radagon went to war with her, and then ended up being head of the Raya Lucarian Academy, which is very interesting because the Academy and the Carian royal family were, at least, different institutions at one point that did not get along with each other. So presumably Rennala was someone very important to bridging the gap between those two. And then, of course, when you consider the fact that Rennala is a witch, and a very powerful one at that, Radahn learning gravity magic is actually not that weird. Those resources would be readily available for him.
Suppose so.
Yeah.
Also, he learned from one of the Onyx Lords, so, literally the fucking primordial creators of gravity magic. 'cause I guess the Academy just has a few of those guys. Literally, there's one of them just in Raya Lucaria, and they have an Everjail
History
with
is
an
strong,
Alabaster
I
Lord in
guess.
there outside the Carrion Manor. History is powerful.
Yeah.
So those are the children of Radagon and Renala. When Radagon became consort to Marika, these three were accepted as demigod stepchildren. And frankly, are far more successful in general than most of Marika's actual children.
Sad side effect.
In
this,
terms
though,
of
is
not
now
being
Renala is
actually
smashed.
no. Well, Godwin got murdered. He was literally the first demigod to die other than Rani, actually, so I guess that kind of puts them on equal terms. Well,
Oh well.
none of Renala's children were cursed. So she's got that on the bitch.
True.
Now, Radagon gets with Marika, and they have twins, Mikela and Melania, both of whom are Empyreans, because Radagon and Marika became one god. Now, despite being Empyreans, there was something wrong with both of them. Mikela was cursed to ever be a child, and I don't mean like a fucking 12-year-old child or something. It looks like he's like a 5-year-old child or something. And Melania was cursed to harbor a rot deep within herself, the Scarlet Rot, which originates from an outer god buried deep underneath the earth, probably under the Lake of Rot.
Somehow.
That's likely.
Now, Mikela was working on some project with the Halig Tree, which I don't have a whole lot of information on as of yet, but he was trying to create a place for those that were rejected by the Erd Tree, those who were not given grace. So you had things like the Misbegotten, you had the Albinorics, who were not created in the Primordial Crucible. They were a man-made group of living people. They were basically a race of golems. And a lot of people hated and hunted them. So the Halig Tree was seen as a place that could be a home for the Albinorics. Presumably the Omen could probably find a home there, since they were born without grace. But that was something he worked on. And Melania was known as the Blade of Mikela, so I guess Melania really didn't personally have much going on for herself other than helping out her brother, which is nice.
Yeah. And this is just me, but when Morgoth, goes over them like the twin prodigies, he seems a little bit sympathetic. Like, you can clearly tell
Yeah,
there's a nice
it's
touch in
interesting.
his
You can
voice.
tell from Morgoth's tone of voice how he feels about the people
Reichardt.
he talks about. You can tell he specifically does not like Reichardt. Probably because Reichardt was a big religious guy. Literally ran the fucking Inquisition. So people like him were not great for Morgoth. Literally, Reichardt had at least one Omen killer hanging out in his manor.
At least one.
At least one. I don't remember if there are more.
He does.
Yeah. So I imagine Reichardt was not too kind to the Omens.
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Now, there is a person who, I haven't completed their quest line, but is technically a descendant of Melania, or is created by her. And this is a person by the name of Millicent. It seems like she may have been born out of the Scarlet Rot. Scarlet Rot is interesting because although we generally associate rot with death and eating away at the living, decomposition also leads to new forms of life. When we go to Caelid, all of the fungus and shit, all of the gross stuff that we see is living. It's living biological matter
Yeah.
that was created by the Scarlet Rot. The pests, which are the gross bug people we find in Celia and a few other places, they just emerged from the Scarlet Rot. It is literally like a new primordial crucible creating life. Unfortunately, that new form of life has a tendency to corrupt and overtake the existing forms of life. And out of this Scarlet Rot, apparently, came an entire fucking person named Millicent.
Oh.
So that's a thing. That's a thing that happened. Now, the last person that we have to talk about, because it's not really clear what their deal is, but it's a maybe, is Melina. Our pseudo-maiden for most of the game. Melina does not really have any memory of where she comes from, but she does remember that she was born at the foot of the Erd tree. And she recalls her mother giving her some kind of purpose there. Now, what sort of person would have access to the Erd tree in order to be able to give birth to a person there? Especially someone who apparently does not really have a corporeal body and is able to use themselves as a sacrifice to set the Erd tree on fire, which is probably something Marika wanted. And also, seemingly, based on the Lord of Frenzied Flame ending, one of the versions, is able to become host to the Rune of Death. If there would be anyone that would be capable of these various things, it would probably be someone who is the child of a literal god, such as Marika. So, you know, it seems very heavily implied that Melina is Marika's daughter, and if she is the daughter of both Marika and Radigan, which she presumably is, that would make her an Empyrean. So there would technically be 4 Empyrean demigods.
Another thing to weirdly notice, like, both Melina and Ronnie both have a similar, like, mark under their closed eye. It's just the opposite eye. Melina's is her left eye, and Ronnie's is her right eye.
Right.
I don't know if that connects to anything, but
If that doesn't
Could this be important? It probably is.
If it's not important, that's probably quite the bigger missing chance.
Coincidence or some shit.
Oh, yeah. Well, that is pretty much the entirety of the Demigod family tree, and this is about a 45-minute video. My god, it went about as long as I expected it to. So in the next video, starting off in the next video, I'm probably going to start talking about more of the specific demigods, because they're the ones that I'm most interested in talking about, and I'm sure they're the ones you're most interested in learning about. And we'll either start with Godric, or we'll talk about Morgott and Moak, because I feel like it's a good idea to maybe talk about Morgott and Moak together. Actually, I think the next video we'll probably be talking more about the Omens, and we'll talk about Morgott and Moak both in that video. Sound good? I think it sounds good. Well, this is being pre-recorded, so you guys in the comments watching this have no say on the matter, technically. Yeah. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like.
Big enough backlash, you know, that you could, right? Let's say in theory, the commenters were not want that. You know, they could discourage you from
Well, fuck
uploading
them. I'm doing it anyway. I don't care. I've already planned out the recording. I don't give a shit.
How cruel!
You interrupted my outro. God damn it.
Outstanding.
If you enjoyed this fairly coherent video, you should be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future Elden Ring content. I plan on releasing 2 lore videos every week, at least from here on out. So yeah, definitely be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of those. Also, I have a Discord server, so if you're interested in checking that out, there's a link to that down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.